If you're thinking about making a move to Austin or the surrounding areas, a lot of people mistakenly think that we're still seeing the boom that we saw in 2021 or the 2020 era. But what they don't focus on is who's actually moving here and who isn't, and what that can mean for you if you're thinking about relocating to Austin or some of the surrounding suburbs. So let's start with who's actually moving to the city of Austin, and it is overwhelmingly millennials right now. A recent study showed that over 100,000 millennials had moved into the city of Austin in the period that they were collecting data, which was about a year, which is absolutely insane. That's about 10% of the total population of the city of Austin. And right now, the data is showing that millennials make up about 40% of the total population of the city of Austin. And it really makes a lot of sense because Austin has become a destination for people that are planting their roots and starting their families, and millennials kind of check that box, right? They're people that are in the family planning stages, or they've recently started a family, or their family's starting to grow, and Austin tends to be a very good place for those types of buyers to land. And a big plus is they have a lot of options because a lot of millennials are dual income families, and they overwhelmingly make up a hybrid workforce. So that means people that work from home and sometimes go into the office, or are completely remote. So they have a lot of options when they're choosing the Austin area or the Austin suburbs. So this isn't the 23-year-old tech bro wave coming to Austin anymore. Things are changing, and if you're relocating with kids or a family, then you're part of the wave that is moving into Austin, not part of the wave that's moving out. A majority of the clients that I've been helping are, in fact, people with kids, right? So I just helped somebody move from Australia for a job to the city of Austin, and I'm helping a family right now get out of the big city of Dallas and move out to the Texas Hill Country. They want to be on the water. So this is part of the puzzle that I like to kind of solve, which is helping people figure out which version of Austin works best for them. So what does this mean for you? This specific demographic of buyer that's moving into Austin is increasing the demand and the competition for homes that are in master planned communities with a lot of community amenities, places that have really, really highly ranked schools, and a lot of the 3 and 4 plus bedroom homes tend to be in a lot higher demand than some of the condos and things like that downtown. That being said, the ones that are priced appropriately are still in pretty high demand. They're just not moving quite as quickly as those, traditional family style homes. What's happening overall, and what I'm seeing with a lot of my family buyers that I'm helping move here, is that they're choosing some of the suburbs more often than not. They're choosing Buda, they're choosing Dripping Springs, they're moving out towards the Westlake area for the highly ranked schools, or they're landing somewhere up north like Cedar Park or Round Rock if that's kind of where their job commute takes them. So when it comes down to the millennial population that's actually moving to the city of Austin, it breaks down like this. We're seeing about 60,000 millennials that have relocated to the city of Austin from within the Travis County area. So that means people that are familiar with the area are actually moving to Austin. And then about 20,000 of those millennials came from Texas, but just in different counties. Over 16,000 came from different states throughout the US, and just shy of 8,000 came from abroad. So what does that tell us? That tells us that this is really good for long-term stability because people that understand Austin and are familiar with the market here are choosing to move here. That being the millennials that are either within the same Travis County area or the millennials that are within the state of Texas as a whole that know Austin and are just relocating to this area in particular. So I am genuinely curious what has you considering the city of Austin. If you're watching this video, you're probably watching it for a reason. So let me know in the comments below, are you a family that's relocating here for all the reasons that Austin is a great family city, or are you relocating for work? I work with people from all walks of life, from relocating tech workers to people that are retiring to the Texas Hill Country, all the way to, again, that kind of family demographic buyer. So drop it down in the comments below and let's hop back into it. So let's move right along to who's not moving to the Austin area right now. And predominantly what we've seen a big drop off in is people that are relocating here specifically for that kind of tech wave that we saw a few years ago. We're not seeing as many investor buyers that are kind of speculative or a little bit more cautious. And we're not seeing as many people buy Airbnbs specifically as investments just because the red tape can be a little bit crazier and the hotel taxes tend to be a little bit higher in the core of Austin. And this kind of references one of the earlier boxes, but we're not seeing as many super aggressive cash buyers which also kind of lends to investors, right? But I'm actually helping a lot of investor clients buy cash deals here in Austin. It just is a matter of what they're focusing on, which right now in the Austin area, they're focusing on pretty distressed properties that need a lot of rehab, if not a full gut, so that they can actually flip those properties and make a profit off of them. So let's break it down into terms that are really, really easy to understand. So 2020 to 2022, we saw the pendulum swing up to its peak, right? Demand was really, really strong. Homes were selling for way over market value, which happened nationwide, but it really, really did happen at a really extrapolated rate here in the city of Austin. And now, moving into 2026, 2027 market, we're kind of seeing that pendulum swing back down to a more normalized zone, which isn't necessarily a bad thing for the market as a whole. It just is only natural, right? Pendulums swing up and down and up and down, and we're headed down into that kind of normalization zone right now. So now that we've talked about the actual numbers, let's talk about the percentages, because those tell a real story. When it comes to millennials, we saw almost 50% of the population increase in the city of Austin come from millennials that were moving internationally. So I know a lot of people are moving from Travis County and from the surrounding counties here in Texas, but as a whole, we're seeing domestic migration a little bit lower and international migration really, really high for the city of Austin right now. So at the end of the day, Austin is no longer the gold rush that it used to be, right? It is a long-term play that a lot of my family clients are choosing to make, right? Because it does make sense, and because we're kind of in that lower portion of the pendulum swinging, it's normalizing. It's a little bit stronger of a buyer's market right now, which means that buyers have, less competition. They've got more negotiation leverage when it comes to things like seller concession or negotiating repairs based on the inspections. And, it's just not as emotional anymore because you're not going into these crazy bidding wars like we saw a few years ago, which can make the whole process a lot less stressful. So to answer the super simple question, are people leaving Austin? And the transparent answer to that is absolutely yes. A lot of the tech boom and the people that relocated here when they could work wherever they wanted to are actually leaving the city of Austin. We're also seeing some people kind of leave the city because of affordability issues, and that makes sense because Austin is not a budget play necessarily. Now, that can be relative, right? It depends on where you're coming from. Austin's definitely a place where you can stretch your dollar a lot farther than some of the other really popular cities throughout the country. But if you're coming from a place where things are super, super affordable and home prices are really, really low, then Austin can be a little bit of an affordability, step up, so to say. And then we're seeing a lot of people that are retiring and downsizing, that are just moving out of the city of Austin, moving to somewhere with a little bit more space, peace and quiet, and spending their golden years somewhere else besides the city. Now, I'm not sure if you can hear the train going on in the background, so I'm taking a bit of a pause, but I always make sure and talk to my clients about the trains in Austin, because Austin historically had a train running straight down the middle of it, and that's what Mopac, the road of Mopac, Loop 1 actually is. It's an old train line. So I make sure that if that's something that's going to bother my clients, it's something that we talk about before they decide and fall in love with a specific home, not realizing that there is a train a quarter mile down the road that they're going to hear every single day. But net migration is overall positive here in the Austin area still. So we're seeing more people come into the city and the surrounding areas than we're seeing actually leaving. And that makes sense because our infrastructure is improving. We're getting light rail systems. We're getting better public transit. We're seeing a lot of expansion in healthcare. And the semiconductor and manufacturing industry is still really, really strong here in Austin. I'm actually helping a lot of people find their perfect home that are relocating because of the Tesla Gigafactory or the Samsung factory. So people that are relocating for that specific field are still seeing a really, really strong presence here in Austin. The headlines are saying that people are leaving Austin, but the real data is telling a much different story. So let's talk about the quiet shift that nobody's really focusing on. So we've shifted from this explosive growth that we saw a few years ago to strategic growth that we're seeing long term. Austin in 2026 is less hype, more long-term, more strategic, and realistically, that's a good thing for buyers and the long-term market here in the city of Austin. In the end, speculators left and end users stayed. Now, I know it might surprise some of you guys, but I actually make these videos because I'm a licensed real estate agent and I want to be able to help people just like you. So don't hesitate to reach out. I'm always happy to hop on a call or a Zoom so that we can discuss your plans and see if the city of Austin or any of the surrounding suburbs actually makes sense for you or not. So let's dive into what this means for you, the potential buyer moving to Austin. And we're gonna break this into kind of two types of buyers, right? If you're planning on moving to the Austin area long-term, we're talking, let's say 7+ years, then this is actually a really, really good opportunity for you because you have lower prices than we saw a few years ago and longer days on market for homes that are just potentially not selling, which gives you a lot more leverage in the buying process, which puts the ball in your court. Now, in juxtaposition, if you're expecting appreciation like we saw overnight during COVID here in Austin, then it is time for a little bit of a reality check. I don't have a crystal ball, but I do not anticipate that we ever see a market that jumps that quickly, that fast ever again. Now, if you're moving for lifestyle and schools, then you're riding that wave of the people that are actually choosing Austin over other areas, which herd mentality, right? I don't want people just to fall victim to that, but they're making that decision because it makes sense. So they're making it for a reason. And for those buyers that are fully remote or at least a majority hybrid work, Austin's awesome because you have a ton of options and it really just is kind of a choose your own adventure, kind of Build-A-Bear style buying process because you can kind of pick and choose the things that you want that meet your goals and what you want your lifestyle to look like, your general vibe. If you want to be really, really convenient and have a lot of community amenities, then there are places for you in the master plan communities in the suburbs. If you want to be really secluded and out by the lake or on a river in the Texas Hill Country, you've got options there too. Again, it's kind of a really cool opportunity because you just have so many choices. And a lot of this growth happens differently in different areas, right? So I've actually made an Austin area relocation guide that you can download for free. It's mobile friendly. You can text the number on the screen with the word relo, or you can scan the QR code. And I've also made specific area guides. So if you're a little bit farther along in the planning process and you want details on, more specific areas, suburbs, neighborhoods, just let me know. Text the same number on the screen. Let me know where you're considering looking, and I'm happy to share those guides with you so you can take a deeper dive. I mentioned it before, but the infrastructure, the healthcare, the university growing, the strong job market, these are all really, really good indicators of a healthy real estate market long term, not a market that's just based off of hype, because when people make decisions based on the hype alone, it often leads to regret. I see it time and time again. I've lived in Austin my whole life. We've gone through the ups and the downs, and the people that move along with the hype are the ones that I see most often having, some regrets on what they decided to do. By the way, if you're completely new to the channel, my name is Justin Rossi. I'm a local Austin area real estate agent. I'm also a Austin area native, and I help people move here every single day. I've lived here my whole life, like I said, so I've seen these shifts take place before, and I understand the nuance. So if you want expert guidance or just to talk through your plans with somebody, please don't hesitate to reach out. That's what I'm here for. So I had to hop in my car to finish this one up because I have to go put up 3 listing signs throughout the city of Austin today, and I need to do it before the sun goes down. But I hope this kind of landed for you guys. I hope you have a better understanding of what type of person is moving to Austin, who's moving here, who's moving out, and who's not moving here anymore. When it comes to people that are moving here, rapid fire, people that are moving to Austin, millennials, people that are here for the long term, people that are moving here for the family benefits, the people that aren't moving here anymore, at least at such a high rate, are, the tech bros, so to say. And the people that are leaving are either leaving for affordability or they're just retiring and downsizing and moving somewhere else. Austin's definitely not the budget play that it used to be. Now, that being said, it's subjective. It really depends on where you're coming from and what you're used to paying for the cost of living for a home, but Austin's definitely not a budget play when compared to cheaper areas. Now, your dollar definitely goes a lot farther in Austin than a lot of the other really popular big cities throughout the US. If you compare it to the cost of living in San Diego or Los Angeles or New York, you're definitely going to be pleasantly surprised. But I hope that all makes sense. And if I can help in any way, shape, or form, please do not hesitate to reach out. That's what I'm here for. I do want to hear from you guys. Thank you all so much for sticking around until the end of the video, and I will see you on the next one. Bye, y'all.